sandcastles. I remember one trip to the beach on my ones on an autumn eve. As I stood by the pier, I saw a young boy full of life. He built a castle with walls so large he thought could withstand anything. Satisfied with his accomplishment, he reached for his mother's hand and he shouted, "Mommy, mommy, mommy! Look what I've built." His masterpiece was beautiful. She knew he was creative the way his hands mixed the tiny granules of sand with the tiny droplets of water, and he molded it to whatever that his feeble mind could create. At that moment, he felt like he was the creator, all powerful, all knowing. But see, the waves were coming. The first wave hit, and it barely even touched the walls. He stood there, mocking the waves, saying, "Ha! You are nothing compared to my creation." But see, the second wave came, just slightly kissing the walls, with scrapes taking bits of sand away. But still, he stood unshaken. And he looked at his mom, saying, "Mommy, look. My creation is unbreakable. It still stands tall." At that moment, when I stood on that pier, and the sun kissed the horizon with a last goodbye, I knew what was coming as the final tide began to draw closer. I knew. I kid you not, at that moment, I could almost just shit my pants just a little. I looked at his mom, and his mom looked at me, and we both knew what was coming, and we couldn't even stomach the thought of warning that little boy to tell him that what was coming was more treacherous than he could imagine. I watched, and within that split second, everything that he built was washed away. I expected tears, but when I looked at him, his tears were just a simple granule of salt added to the vast ocean. And I walked to him, and I put my hand on his shoulder, and he stood up, and he looked at me, and he said, "Never mind. I will rebuild, and it will be stronger. It will be bigger, and it will take on anything anything that the ocean can throw at it." And at that moment, I looked at him and I said, "Little boy, look at me. I too am a sandcastle." That was poem number 1. Poem number 2. This took a couple of rewrites, so excuse me if it's a bit quirky. I guess I've been chasing pages for so long that I forgot what chapter I had to be focused on. I hate the gift of seeing things before they happen, so I cry ahead of time, hoping that I'll never drown in a flood of emotions once these damn walls come crashing down. See, I remember how in my young ages I took pride in serenading skirts till they couldn't help but blush every single fucking time I said something. I opened so many doors but never could actually keep the keys, so it never mattered if they shut or not. There was always a next one. See, I remember assembling every love poem I ever had, stitching them together into one thick journal and burning it with a sadistic smile on my face. Somebody once told me no evidence means no case. Wait.
It's my mom. Sorry.
Wait, no. It skipped my mind. I was a living walking testament of everything I wish so dear to run from. Attached to my own dirty attachments, attracted to the feeling of getting hurt so much that I lay traps for myself only to blame someone else for my mishaps. Some of the traps Should I start again?
6 minutes.
We have 6 minutes. Let me start again.
Don't start again. Pick up exactly where you left off because I paused.
So there are people who are doing rehearsals as well because there is a program.
Tomorrow.
You know, is it tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
Yes.
So how are we going to do this?
It means
Doesn't matter if we have to fucking do it in the cafe. The point is we need to get all the times down so we can fucking consolidate that for the next rehearsal. Because the next rehearsal we're going to be doing the whole run through and timing the entire run through right down to the transitions.
Okay, fine. Let's continue.
let's continue.
All right. Some of these traps really did look beautiful. Somewhere between drinking a cold fused tea on an old harbor at dusk with the wind blowing smooth between your fingers as you firmly try to grasp what is left of the light that is close to vanishing. Just right off the horizon, from when the sun sets, the heathens rise, with the dark hiding their horns and soft red lips, the enchantment, even in the bravest of nights, when they sing a song of blood sacrifice, no different from the grammatical suicide I have committed. Forgive the discretion. Sometimes I too can be a siren and make myself stray off a calm sea and crash right into the rocks on an island that I can give love, but in the same manner snatch it from you with brutal force. A sweet gamble, is it not? I had tales of a man, one that became master of himself and conquered that which he feared most. I asked him, how? How did you do it? He smiled, wrote on a piece of paper. He said, broken bones never reform into a weaker state. But what about broken hearts? I heard they do break muscles, return to a weaker state. The same way gains disappear if you do not work out. Does the heart not bench press doubt and curl all my fear? Does it not step into the ring and box all negativity till we pound every single thing that dared us not to be happy? Alas, alas, it faints from fatigue, hangs itself with an artery, or beats fast enough till it gets pierced by a rib. After all, it is one that Adam referred to as his rib that was close to his heart, hence he was quick to give in, because how would he have neglected the counsel of his own, no matter the treachery? Last poem. I didn't know this was a heartbreak. Paled roses on the floor, lipstick stained wine glasses, 16 shot glasses round my dressing table, and still the only presence that was missing was you. See, I woke up one morning, I rolled over, And suddenly I felt this empty feeling on the inside, and suddenly I knew you did the same thing you did the last time. You gave an excuse at 5 a.m. saying that you had to be home. And I asked myself, why would you hide that which was so dear to you and me? But then I realized that it was never me and you. See, I noticed the way you smiled at him. You smiled at him exactly the same way you smiled at me when we were 6 months in our relationship, and my boys told me to watch out, and I was clueless. I drove you around in my Audi, but still, no matter how many rings I could put around you, even if there were 4, I could never simply get my ABS right straight until I drove right straight into a wall and I crashed into my own doubt and fears. The same thing that you told me when you told me you loved me. See, I was trying to be a journeyman, but still, I lost my balance trying to find myself in the stability of my fear of love. But then, see, I was trying to be the perfect man, but I could never simply find my heartbeat. So no matter how many times that I could hear it over a stethoscope, no matter how many times I could hear still, you caught me off rhythm with the way that you played me like a Nintendo Switch, the way you switched me beyond man and him that could be not be me, that you told me I could not be he that could hold your heart. See, the first time I realized that you cheated on me, I wondered, could he still taste me off your lips when you kissed him? Could he not realize the way that I stitched you together to make you the perfect woman that you never thought that you could be? Because at the end of the day, that the woman, see, you were my Mona Lisa, and I painted every single time over you. I painted oil stains. I painted simple gestures. I painted your smile till it became a perfect silhouette of everything we could be, until you decided that you didn't need me. And then when they looked at you, they said you were a replica of what could be. See? See?
I'll be late.
See? When I first got the name The Last Ghostwriter, and when they called me the Pied Piper of Poetry, was because when I played the last single note on the flute, it was a simple hello, goodbye, my lover. I never need you again, because since I was then, I became a diver in the deep ocean searching for myself. And then when I found me, and when you saw me on stage on the last slam that I did, and I recited this very poem, you shit your pants, because you knew that when the throat would scratch my throat, when I would regurgitate every single I love you and turn it into a simple Molotov cocktail, and I would recite every single conversation we had over every single cocktail that I mixed you. You forgot that I'm a bartender. I know every single damn secret that you kept. So for all the shot glasses on my dressing room table, darling, I forgot we broke up, because I could not forget your existence. So the last very thing I'll say to you is, wherever you are, I hope you're happy. Whoever loves you, I hope they're wary. Because skirts like you remind me why love is a facade. And one last thing. Fuck you.